continuing with our authentication wire up, we need to also make sure that when we log in a user, if the initial request to authenticate them fails, we want to make sure that we also attempt to create an account for the user as well. So we're going to follow the same methodology as in our authentication app. If an email and password combination fails, we assume that the user needs a new account. So we will attempt to create the new account. So our start is going to be the same as when we handled authentication previously. If we hit the then case, that means that the user is successfully logged in. If the authentication with email and password fails, that means we're going to hit a catch case. So I'm going to add a catch case in here. And whenever we hit this catch case, we're going to do a couple different things. First off, we're going to call firebase.auth.createUser with email and password. And then we'll pass in the email and password that were entered. And then after that, we will get back a user model. And inside of there, we will also dispatch the login user success action. So type login user success with a payload of user. All right. Now I want to point out to you, gee whiz, this is some really nasty looking code here. We're only really doing, two things more or less, like sign in the user with email and password, failing that, try to create a new account. But this is one nasty block of code right here. And I would not be surprised if I have a hidden typo somewhere in here. This is where ESLint is definitely very helpful. So clearly, very nasty code that we're working with here. This is the absolute downside of Redux Thunk. So it can really add to or really contribute to some kind of pyramids of doom, as you see like this right here. I mean, we're using promises, which cleans up things a little bit, but still, it's kind of nasty. The best solution that we can come up to handle this is to make a couple of helper functions for processing the callbacks that we have in here, specifically the success cases. So you can see that if we successfully sign in with email and password, or if we successfully create a user, in both cases we are dispatching an identical action. So I'm going to suggest that we create a new function called login user success. It will take the dispatch method and automatically dispatch our success action for us. So essentially, we're going to make a helper method to clean up this login user action creator. Let's see what it looks like. You'll notice that I'm not going to export this new method because I really do not intend to call it directly from anywhere else inside my application. It's really just for use to support the login user action creator. So we'll define login user success. It will be called directly with a dispatch method and the user that just signed in. And then inside of here, we will dispatch our login user success action. So we'll have a type of login user success and a payload of the user. So now we can clean up our code just a little bit inside of the login user action creator. First off, I'm going to delete both of the dispatch statements. So delete dispatch number 1 and then delete dispatch number 2. Okay, so now I've got two .thens. Each of them just have kind of a dangling federal function with the user as an argument. Then inside of both these, I will call login user success. And I need to pass along the dispatch method so that it can actually do the dispatch, and also the user. So login user success with the user. So again, one more time, just because I want to make sure that we get the right code on the screen here. I have two .thens. Both of them are identical, and they should both take a user and call login user success with dispatch and the user. So this is a little bit better, but definitely two more things here. We need to make sure that we bubble up an error message to handle the case in which a user just puts in the wrong credentials. And we also need to make sure that we send across an action when the action creator is first called so that we know to start up the spinner, right? We need to make sure that we know to start up the spinner when the action creator is first called. So let's start with the handling the fail case first. And I think that we should also put the handling the fail inside of a helper method as well, because it's really going to clean up this file a little bit. So I'm going to make another helper method, helper function, called login user fail. This will be called with the dispatch method. And all it has to do is dispatch an action of type login user fail. Now we don't have that type yet, so let's go create it. I'm going to go up to the top of this file and I'm going to import login user fail at the top. And we need to make sure that our type file has that as well. So I'm going to find my types file inside the actions directory, and I'll add in export const login user fail. Okay, so everything that we're doing in this section, again, it's all about making this login user action creator much more robust. Handle the spinner, handle the error messages, handle the success. So we have now added in code to handle success of signing with email and password, success of creating a new account. Both those were handled by the login user success method. And then we also just created login user fail, which dispatches an action of type login user fail. So we will definitely want to make sure that we eventually hop over to our reducer as well and pick up on this, pick up on the login user fail message right here. So definitely want to take that as well. The last thing we have to do is make sure that we actually call login user fail at some point. So we're only going to fail the user out of this flow after we have both tried to sign in with email and password and create a new user with email and password. So after we attempt to create a user with email and password, I'm going to add on a catch case. Notice that I'm going to take off the semicolon on the .then here. I'm going to take it off. And if that fails, I want to catch and directly call login user fail with the dispatch method. And then that thing will be responsible for dispatching the fail type. Okay, so again, a really nasty chunk of code right here. This is definitely where Redux Thonk starts to get, a little bit painful. Let's continue the next section and make sure that we are handling starting a spinner, showing error messages, and all that kind of good stuff inside of our reducer.